In the present society, silent cases of male torture and false cases in the name of men. In this patriarchal society, the news of violence against women is always discussed. But is it only women in the world who are being abused by their husbands? Men are not abused by women? Review of various cases in the current context says that many men of the society are constantly being tortured in their own homes, due to which about 60% of the family is breaking up, bad advice of father-in-law's house and persuasion of some dishonest and opportunistic people. He is silently enduring all these tortures and threats of his wife day after day, thinking of his shame and family. Many men in the society cry silently for the pain of his wife. He wipes his eyes behind people's eyes, but there is no one to watch, no way to tell. Various quarters are also demanding the enactment of a law to stop male torture. It cannot be said that women are backward or they are backward. On the contrary, women have broken the shackles of social subjugation and have come a long way in their own right. It is our pride and arrogance. Even then, in different parts of the country, women are being tortured by their husbands, and in-laws are being harassed for dowry. There are also cases of rape, torture and sexual harassment. Society is changing fast. The new form of the changed society is male torture. Some of the abused men are being physically, some mentally, some physically, financially, some are being socially abused. This kind of torture is often happening inside and outside the house. Although comparatively less, the number of abused men in this country is not very low. Although various government and non-government organizations working on human rights have statistics on violence against women, they do not have accurate information on violence against men. As a result, even though the news of violence against women has been published, the incidents of violence against men remain in the dark. However, in recent times, a number of organizations have been formed focusing on male abuse. Why are men being abused? At present, the bond of love in married life is much lighter than before. Besides, this is happening due to various reasons, including degradation of social values, moral depravity, greed, lust, extravagance, extramarital affairs, drug addiction, economic inequality, harmful effects of globalization, free sky and cultural flow. The ultimate consequence of which is the breakdown and torture of the world. Both men and women are suffering as a result of family unrest and family breakdown. All sections of the society from upper class to lower class are constantly suffering from various family afflictions. In this case, many in the society are extending a hand of sympathy to the oppressed women. But in this patriarchal society, no one seems to think that men can be abused. As a result, in most cases, the tragic story of male abuse remains hidden. Analysts say that despite being abused by his wife, men are unable to seek legal redress. In most cases, he is trying to cope with his wife's torture by silently enduring the fear of the child's future, social status, shame, jail, police and vice versa. Men can't talk about torture even if they want to. On the other hand, if a woman wants to abuse the law, she can easily file a case of violence against women or a dowry case against a man in the police station or court by arranging false facts. There is no specific law to prevent male abuse. 9 tribunals have been set up for the treatment of women and children, but none for men. As a result, it is becoming difficult to provide legal assistance to the victims. Many men, from high-ranking members of society to low-ranking rickshaw pullers, who have been physically and mentally abused, come to us, lawyers, for legal help and silently shed tears. Source of Women Violence Act, The development of a society and a state cannot be imagined without the development of women. That is why many countries of the world are at the peak of development by promoting women's development. Our country has also come a long way in the field of women's development. For a long time now, women in our country have surpassed men in all respects. Articles 26, 27 and 29 of our Constitution speak of women's rights. On the other hand, there are several laws in the country for the protection of women. Notable among these are Women and Child Abuse Act 2000, Acid Prevention Act 2002, Domestic Violence and Suppression Act 2010, Dowry Prohibition Act 1980. But sadly, although laws have been enacted to protect true women, some women are now using these laws as a tool to suppress men. Selfish women are abusing these laws to make their husbands angry. On the other hand, the law to prevent male abuse has not yet been enacted in the country. There is no tribunal against male abuse. Concerned people say that the victims are being deprived of legal services due to these reasons. A victim of harassment in the case of violence against women and dowry told me today that even though he could not take his wife home for one day, he had to stay in custody for 112 days in the case of that wife. The case of 2014 is pending even though no allegation has been proved. Attendance has to be paid every 2-3 months. He said that if there is a case of violence against women, first arrest, then investigation. As a result, many men across the country have to go to jail without guilt. Dowry law misapplication. Dowry law is most misused in cases of male abuse. Most of the dowry laws are false and harassing. If there is a final quarrel in any family matter, it turns into a dowry case when it is reported to the police. In case of marital discord between the spouses for any reason, or if the wife is divorced, or if the wife is chastised, or if the wife's extramarital affairs are obstructed, the wife and her family members may go to the police station or the court. He filed a case under Section 3 of the Amendment Act, 1980. This one case is enough to make a man's life miserable. Many men fall into the trap of bad girls. He is collecting large sums of money from them. If you express inability to pay, then it is a false case. In the case of family cases, we have seen that dowry has nothing to do with marital life of husband and wife. But dowry case is filed only if there is marital quarrel. But the children of the family also get lost. Mahar scandal. In our country, usually at the time of marriage, the bride and groom force the bride to spend as much money as she can in the cabin. And in most cases these cabins are the rest. In other words, according to the demand of the bride's party, the cabin was made 1 million. Of this, 2 to 3 lakh rupees was paid for jewelry and other things, and the rest was left. However, the Islamic rule is to pay the full dowry at the time of marriage. But who hears this? The remaining or excess of the stand mahar becomes tomorrow. According to various case studies, the husband was forced to accept the immoral demands of his wife and his family members due to extra dowry. According to verse no, which will not be in excess of his mahrana. Therefore, according to Islam, if the husband is harmed by the wife is obliged to pay compensation to the husband. But according to our domestic law, even if a divorce is granted by the wife to the husband has to pay the dowry, which is in complete conflict with Islam.